Things are going pretty smoothly so far. We've got a healthy lead.
Let's not get too cocky. They do have Makoto Misaka on their team. She can sense we're coming, so we can't sneak attack. She's like a fortress.
Well, we don't have to eliminate everyone.
Yeah, no reason to take that kind of risk.
But now that we're dominating, we're gonna end up ignoring my target. What a pain.
Hello everybody, Megazord X here. I'm back at it again to give you another very exciting episode review over a certain scientific Railgun T, and this time I'm going to be going over episode 3, Blue Hunter. And if you haven't already watched my last week's episode review over episode 2 of a certain scientific Railgun T, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner, check that video out, and then come back and bounce over and watch this one though. And I gotta say, just my overall raw reaction over this episode is, I felt like it was very simplistic. Like, it was just over one event, which was, you know, them kind of chasing around running around with these balloons on their head and just trying to pop the other enemies' balloons or whatever though. I felt like it was super simplistic though, but for some odd reason, I just felt like, you know, episode 2, the previous one, just had a lot more going for it. Maybe it was just because it was the first event, or maybe it's because there was a lot more different side events that were kind of going on behind the scenes though, but this episode was honestly pretty straightforward. So I mean, I could probably get through all the plot and stuff, which I'll be doing here in just a moment though, but I feel like there's not like a whole lot to talk about though, but there is some key important things I do need to go over and discuss as well though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight up into this episode review of a certain scientific Railgun T. In the final moments of the previous episode, Misaka somehow gets replaced by one of her clones in the team, and it is up to our Misaka clone to represent Makoto Misaka well. The next event turns out to be balloon hunting, in which, you know, every player of each team wears a helmet with a balloon on top of it, and each member of the team is expected to protect their balloon from busting. While they're at it, they can also basically attack other teams' balloons on their heads. So overall, with this event, basically you can use your Esper powers in any way, shape, or form, except for the fact that you cannot use your Esper power to directly harm or physically do something to somebody. You can use your powers to inflict these, like, sort of kind of beanbags that they had. They had to throw the beanbags on top of the balloon that's on their head in order to use it to pop it. That's the only way how they could pop it. So they can use their Esper powers on the beanbags to affect it to pop the balloon, but they can't use their Esper powers directly on another person. So, you know, that's the sort of kind of whole catch, or the whole gimmick around this event though. So instead of trying to remove her clone from the game, Misaka lets her be there and basically has some good fun within this event though. And however, the clone feels responsible for all of this and tries her best to make sure that her team wins the game. So then they start targeting all the different players of the other team one by one and burst their balloons. And for the most part, you know, it was Tokyo Die versus this other school that they were going head to head with. And essentially, this other school, even though they don't have some of the best in terms of students with Esper-related powers, because we know Tokyo Dai has some of the best Espers on there. Like, of course, they have 2 level 5s in their school, being Misaki and Misaka. So they were already at a huge disadvantage. Just, you know, they were trying to sort of kind of find a way to even out the playing field. However, they had this dude on their side called Baba, which we saw at the very tail end of episode 2. And with him, he was able to sort of kind of do his homework, and he was able to figure out a whole bunch of information and a whole bunch of stats with their strengths and weaknesses of all of these different Tokyo Adai girls, which is, you know, a little bit weird, a little bit freaky. I'm kind of wondering where did his source actually come from, but he was really bent on trying to find a way to be able to beat this team no matter what. So he basically had everybody kind of split up into different squads in order to take out certain groups of Tokyo Adai members, because even from the very beginning of this race, the second they said go, they immediately ran off. They immediately ran off that field and into the city, instead of just, you know, duking it out right there at that stadium though, because this dude had some plans. Like, there was like one scenario where one dude was running away or something like that, and then it was like he was telepathic, and he was trying to use his power to knock out one of the girl's balloon though, but she stood there like, oh man, this is some amateur play or whatever though, and then she sent back a whole bunch of balloons towards him and popped his balloon, and she was all cocky or whatever though, and then all of a sudden there was another person that was like in the bushes or whatever though, and swung a ball and managed to bust her balloon on her head, and she was like, what? Like, how does this add up? Like, he can't pop it after he's already out, but it was just little scenarios like that. Like, they managed to outsmart and outwit them in a lot of different various ways. There was one where the girls were trying to run down an alleyway. Oh, there was a bunch of mud on the thing. Oh, they don't want to get some mud up on them, so let's go a different way. And that led them to a different trap. Or the fact of the matter that, there was one girl that was using telepathy to be able to talk to all of her other teammates, to be able to communicate to them, but they dropped a spider in front of her face, which made her freak out, yell in her head. But with that telepathy, it was just blowing up all of her teammates' heads, and it just kind of knocked them out or whatever though. They were just exploiting them with so many different weaknesses, and they knew all their strengths though, and it was just weird how Baba actually knew all of this though, but he said he knew some connections though, so that's basically how that other team was basically having a leg up over the competition. Then one of the other members from the other team tries to attack the Misaka clone but misses, and he then tries to get away, and Misaka's clone follows him all the way, and to her surprise, this was all a trap set up by the other team to corner her and bust her balloon. Despite all of this, she still gives them a tough fight. Now, it was in this moment where Baba basically said, with this one plan, he said, let's go ahead and target Misaka right now, because we want to capitalize on our lead on them as much as possible. And if they notice that the Tokyo Die girls are down in numbers, they might team up, and it might be even harder for us to take down some of their members though. So let's go ahead and cut the head off of the leader right now though. And essentially the grand scheme he came up with is, he said that, hey, in order for us to pop her balloon, we have to hit it with the sandbag, right? Well, if we just throw it, she can use her powers to basically disintegrate the sandbag or whatever though. But if we hold it in our hands and still manage to hit her with the sandbag with us holding on to it, she can't directly attack us, because then she'll wind up shocking one of us and thus, disqualifies us. So that way she couldn't use our power no matter what if we go with this plan. And that was Baba's plan to begin with, in order to knock Misaka out of the competition though. However, with Misaka clone being in her spot, she basically used all the experience that she has accumulated thanks to her battles with Accelerator, with the whole 10,000 deaths of the various different sisters. And honestly, man, she was untouchable. Like, she was able to dodge, avoid, and all that stuff. And that's just a little nice attention to detail thing right there. The matter of fact that she's basically using something that basically haunted and plagued her for a lot of her life, and was able to actually use it to her advantage within the scenario of this game. So that was one thing I actually really appreciated though. But, she was really going to give a lot of people a run for their money though, because she was dodging, avoiding it, and still knocking out people's balloons though. However, Baba also had another trick up his sleeve, because he was messing with his watch or something like that in an alleyway or whatever though, and trying to control this thing though. But he basically had sort of kind of mini robotic mosquito that was able to kind of go in there undercover, undetected, based upon all the different scenarios that was going on with Misaka fighting these other people though. And he was able to kind of get up on her leg and manage to bite her, and it was just for enough. It just stunned her just enough for her to kind of lose her mojo, and then one of the other members from the other team managed to knock out her balloon, and thus, she lost or whatever though. And then she was like, man, I can't believe, I can't believe I let Misaka down like that though. But that was pretty much it in terms of her overall game though. But she did a really good job throughout this whole thing. And she later apologizes to Misaka for not winning the game, and Misaka assures her that she wouldn't have been able to play it as well as she did, and gives her some coupons to buy some treats as a reward. She's just basically saying, you did a really good job. Thank you for all the help you did. It was my own fault. The matter of fact that I was running late and you somehow got mixed up in it. Oh, make sure to give those clothes back to that one girl, because y'all basically did the swap of clothes or whatever though, for you to be able to compete or whatever though. But yeah, just thank you for all the work you did, and here's some coupons. Go find something good to eat. And later on, Misaka was having a dinner with her mom, and she volunteered to go get some drinks while she was waiting in a long line. She ran into Toma. Now, this is where things, at least for me, this is where things really got interesting for me in terms of this character reactions, though. We had our fun with the sports, though, but now we got to have a little bit of drama up in these episodes, though. So Misaka was standing in the line trying to get some drinks or whatever, though, and then Toma just showed up right behind her. And then she was like, oh man, well, look who it is. Like, well, this is really unfortunate. I'll have to wait on this, though. But then Toma was like, oh man, yeah, poor old Kamijo over here is about to wet himself. And then Misa gets a little flushed, like, what are you talking about getting wet? And all of this stuff. And then he was talking about worrying about how he had to use the restroom, though. And Misaka didn't know that, though. So she started to take things a different way, though. But it was kind of funny to kind of see her reaction with that, though. However, not too long after that, though, we get to see Misaki walking along the streets, and she was talking to that one acquaintance of her that we saw within like a couple of episodes or whatever ago. And she basically knew, looking at that big old Jumbotron earlier, that the person that was supposed to be Misaka playing in that previous event that we just concluded was actually one of Misaka's clones. And, you know, she hung up the phone after that, though. And then she ran into Misaka. You know, Misaka and Misaki, they honestly really don't get along with each other. They're not really, like, good friends or whatever, though. They're always literally kind of, like, butting heads almost every time they run into each other, though. And then Toma arrives back with all the drinks. And he's like, wait a minute. Like, who's this young lady over here, though? And then Misaka was like, oh, this is just a friend from my school or whatever, though. And then Tom was over here looking at him. Started off with him looking at her head, and then his eyes just slowly started to fade down. And then he caught himself in the act. He's like, oh, I can't believe this girl actually goes to your school. Like a middle school girl looking like that? Like, what in the world? And then Misaka's over here like, dang, you're trying to be smooth or whatever, though. But, man, I felt like your eyes gazed and went 30 centimeters down, bro. Like what the heck? And then Misaki read the situation pretty well, though. And then she started to tease Misaka a little bit more, though. And then she ran over there next to Toma and started pressing her body up against her, just, you know, grabbing on his arm or whatever, though, and saying, you know what? Hey, you know what? Misaka is always mean to me or something like that. Is she ever like this with you or whatever, though? And then you know, Toma over here like, yeah. She sort of kind of acts a little zappy and, you know, a little buggy or whatever, though. And then Misaka gets, you know, fed up with, you know, how, you know, she just jumped all over him because, you know, in the back of her mind, she's thinking, oh man, that's my man right there. And I can't believe this girl's, you know, falling all over the dude, like, get away from him or whatever, though. And then, you know, she snaps or whatever, though, and then, you know, Toma uses his right hand to kind of cancel that out, though. And then Misaki, you know, just starts, you know, running away and saying, you know what, fight good for both of us, though, throughout the rest of these events, you know, throughout the festival or whatever, though. And, you know, Misaka was about fed up with this whole entire scenario, though. But it was really funny to kind of see all of them kind of interact or whatever, though. But the interesting thing about this whole entire get-together, though, on a serious note, is the matter of fact that when Misaka said, you know what, Misaki is basically a student that attends my school, immediately Misaki called Toma's name out by Kamijo. She does not know this dude, or ideally what we know, she doesn't know this dude, yet she managed to actually call out this dude by his first name, which means to say that, you know what, she actually has done her research on not only just the clones of Misaka, but also the different people that she might have came in close interaction with as well. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, why in the world did she actually keep an eye out on Toma as well? So, you know, just on that small little detail like that, I know right off the bat that yes, we're gonna see Toma not just this once time just get brushed off to the side, though, but I feel like he's gonna be somewhat important to the plot because of this one little tiny detail right here, though. But I just gotta tell y'all, hey, y'all need to keep an eye on her because she's trying to keep up with the 401 on nearly every person that's associated with Misaka, though. Also in this episode, we also get to see Satin and Urihara Uriharu, and Satan was going on about finding some shadow metal, which was sort of kind of speculated within rumors that she heard, because apparently, you know, in areas where a whole bunch of espers are clashing, there's this metal that can basically appear that's, you know, that's not natural metal or whatever though. However, if you manage to sell it to the right bidder, it can catch you a lot of money though, or whatever though. But then Uriharu kind of reminds Satan and say, you know what did Kuroko tell you about, you know, trying to get all super interested in rumors or whatever though? Because potentially if something happened to be true about the stuff that you be talking about, it always leads to trouble though. But you know, with Satan, she always like that sense of adventure, or not knowing what is coming up next, or being able to find something super rare, or something that no one else really knows about, or not a lot of people. She just likes that sense of adventure though. And after some talking going back and forth, Uriharu finally gave in and said, you know what, alright, I'll go ahead and help you try to find this stuff. Let me go ahead and let me do some digging and see if I can find this sort of kind of metal stuff that you want to look for though. And that was basically it for that small little scene though. But maybe that has I feel like that definitely should have a greater impact later down this first arc though, because you know, based upon the stuff that we saw within the opening though, I'm wondering is that sort of kind of related to it or whatever though. But anyway, moving onward, in those final moments of the episode, Misaka's clone gets all dizzy and collapses on the street. But that's not the only thing about it, because it's the fact that Misaki and her acquaintance is standing right there at the moment that Misaka's clone actually falls down. And I feel like she's, you know, still sort of kind of dizzy, sort of kind of woozy from that mosquito bite that Baba actually did earlier. So I'm wondering, did in some way, shape, or form, is Baba sort of kind of working underneath those two to be able to throw Misaka's clone in this sort of kind of predicament? Because it seems like Misaki is super interested in the clones. We don't know exactly what would she want to do with them or whatever though. But you know, something's kind of fishy and something's kind of afoot, and that basically leaves us off on a cliffhanger right there, in terms of we don't know exactly what's going to be happening next within the next episode though. So overall, I gotta say, you know, the episode was sort of kind of fun or whatever though. Sort of kind of simplistic compared to, you know, the previous two. Maybe the first one really kind of hit on that nostalgia a little bit, and the second one kind of set up the whole entire that gaming atmosphere with the tournament and all the different games that the students are competing in though. But then this one, I don't know, I felt like there wasn't as many high stakes though, but that ending though really got me curious as to what's going to be happening within our fourth episode though. But that's pretty much it for this review though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment sections below what all did you think about this episode as a whole. Were you really excited about it? Did it leave you with a little bit of questions near the very end, or anything else in between though? But that about does it for my episode 3 review of A Certain Scientific Railgun T. So make sure to tune in next week for episode 4's review called Tampering. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.
Cats are able to eat grilled squid, says Misaka. How unfortunate. Now they're dirty.